gates slammed shut, and suddenly, the proud city of Capua became a prison. Imagine looking out from those walls, knowing the legions of Rome weren't just here to win a battle. They were here to make an example of you. And the punishment they had in mind was so terrifying that centuries later, we're still haunted by the memory. But what they didn't know was, their suffering had only just begun. It started with arrogance. Capua had been Rome's jewel, a city of wealth, gladiators, and luxury. But when Hannibal crushed Rome's armies at Cannae, Capua switched sides. You can almost hear the whispers. Rome is finished. Hannibal will be the new master of Italy. They believed they had chosen wisely. They believed betrayal would bring them freedom. And then, tragedy struck. Because Rome never forgets, and Rome never forgives. Picture this. You're a Roman soldier, marching south after years of humiliation at Hannibal's hands. You've buried your brothers. You've seen cities burn. And then you hear that Capua, your ally, your supposed friend, has welcomed Hannibal with open arms. Rage boils in your chest. To you, this isn't politics. It's personal. Betrayal cuts deeper than any spear. So when the Senate finally sends you to surround Capua, you know this isn't just another siege. This is revenge. But the real secret was still buried, because Capua's people thought they could outlast Rome. Behind their walls were stores of grain, gladiators ready to fight, and the belief that Hannibal would save them. You can almost taste the hope. But Rome had learned patience. They dug trenches, built walls around the walls. Nothing moved in or out. And then, the horror set in. A prisoner tells the story best. At first we rationed, a handful of grain, a sip of water. But soon the children cried at night, their bellies hollow. Mothers scraped at weeds between stones, boiling them into bitter soups. We chewed leather, bark, anything to trick the body into thinking it had eaten. And still the Romans watched, silent, unblinking, as if our hunger was their feast. But what they didn't know was, Hannibal wouldn't come. Imagine the crushing realization. The general who had destroyed legions, who had promised Capua glory, never broke through Rome's grip. Capua had gambled its soul, and Rome had trapped it. What they found next changed everything. One night, a group tried to escape, scaling the walls under the cover of darkness. Rome caught them. Their bodies were nailed to crosses outside the gates, torches burning below. Every starving man, woman, and child inside the city woke to the sight of death standing guard. Hope itself began to rot. But the most valuable part was still missing. Because Rome didn't just want surrender. Rome wanted fear. They wanted every city in Italy to see what betrayal cost. And so, when Capua finally collapsed, the punishment came. Step into the boots of a soldier again. The gates creak open, and inside you find not warriors, but skeletons in rags. Some too weak to stand, others too delirious to fight. You march through streets lined with corpses, the air heavy with the stench of rot. The city once famed for its gladiators is now a graveyard. And then, tragedy struck again. The leaders of Capua, dragged in chains, begged for mercy. The Senate listened and condemned them all. Executed publicly, their blood soaking the very ground they had sworn would be Hannibal's. Their wives and children enslaved. The city's autonomy stripped away. Capua was no longer a city. It was a warning. But the real secret was still buried. Because out of this soil of despair, something darker grew. Among those who had once fought in Capua's arenas were men who never forgot Rome's cruelty. Decades later, one of them, a gladiator named Spartacus, would rise in rebellion, carrying the memory of Capua's punishment like a torch of vengeance. Would you have resisted? Would you have stayed loyal to Rome out of fear? Or would you, like Capua, have gambled on freedom, even knowing betrayal was a death sentence? The story wasn't over yet. Rome's grip tightened across Italy. Cities whispered Capua's name as though it were a curse. No one dared switch sides again. Not because they loved Rome, but because they had seen what happened when Rome's patience ran out. And still, one question lingers, like the echo of footsteps in an abandoned street. Did Capua truly betray Rome? Or did Rome betray its own promise of alliance by demanding blind loyalty? So if you think Rome's greatest terror was its armies, you haven't been paying attention. Subscribe, and we'll see you on the next journey.